Hello guys, as some of you know, I have a repository on GitHub with a lot of Laravel tips. It started back in 2019 from what I remember, and now it contains 254 tips, random tips about Laravel, divided into 14 sections. And today I want to present a new update of that tips. We released 45 new tips this week. From time to time, I asked my colleagues to gather the newest tips from my Twitter, YouTube, and everywhere I share the information. So in pull requests, in closed pull request, you can find the new pull request that contains 45 new tips, compiled by my teammate and also reviewed by a user named Keith Bush. So thank you, Keith. I didn't ask for that, but he voluntarily reviewed them. And in this video, I will present 5 random tips out of those 45 new tips. And if you want to see all tips, the link to the repository will be in the description below, and also the link to the pull request itself, so you can go to Files Changed and see the actual tips that have been changed. Now 5 random Laravel tips. Tip number 1 is about find or fail. And here I have a notice that I gather a lot of tips by retweeting other people's tips on Twitter. So many new tips in my repository are actually not my own, and we add the links to the original sources at the end of the tip. So tip given by Tim McDonald with the link to the original tweet or article or whatever. So tip number 1 is find or fail. Probably you have seen a lot of code like this one, so you can find or fail by ID. But did you know that find or fail can also accept the array of IDs? And if at least one of the IDs isn't found, then this will throw 404 page. Otherwise, if they are all found, this will return the collection of users. So this is short tip number 1. Tip number 2 is really similar, something like find or fail, but what if you want to receive one value from one row in the database? So typically people would do first and then get the value, the column. There is a shorter way in Laravel collection, there's value. A value method will do basically the same thing. Did you know that there's also value or fail? It appeared quite recently in Laravel 8.61 version, so it does the same thing as find or fail. Tries to find the record. If it isn't found, then it would show 404 error page. Tip number 3 is about logging SQL queries. There are a lot of ways to do that, and personally I prefer external tools like Laravel Debug Bar or Spotty Laravel Ray or Laravel Telescope or something like that. But if you don't want any external tools, this is probably the easiest way how to log all the queries in your app service provider. Probably you should check if the environment is local or not. If you want to do that in production, you need to listen to all the DB queries and log the queries, and this is an important thing. If you just log the query, it will contain the question marks for parameters, but by doing replace, you actually get the original query with the values with the parameters. Tip number 4 is a new method in string class, str class. In 8.69 it was released strMask, which is most often used probably to mask some sensitive data like email, like credit card numbers or something like that. So if you get some value and you want to hide, for example, all the symbols beginning from the 4th, you can do it with strMask. And there are more parameters. You can do minus here and hide only the middle of the string by stars or any other symbols. There are a lot of things to customize, but basically if you want to hide the part of the string, strMask is your friend. And finally, tip number 5 is for debugging emails on your local machine. I sometimes use external tools like Mailtrap for that, so the emails are actually sent to external service and they can be viewed online in mailtrap.io from what I remember. But if you want to do it locally without any external tool, this tip was partially new even to me. I knew that you can change mailer in .env file from the default SMTP to log, and then your contents of the email would automatically appear in storage logs Laravel log. What I didn't know and what I found out is that you can customize which file it is. So you can have separate log file only for mails by configuring the channel of mail, and then in the path you provide which file you want. So that's it, 5 quick tips for this video. If you want more tips, you can spend like full weekend, I guess, to read all of 254 tips. And I encourage you to participate. It's an open source repository, so you can see 34 contributors on the right. You can add your own tips. I'm open to pull requests or any other ideas or issues how to improve that repository, because I'm trying to compile all random tips from Twitter and YouTube and elsewhere into something more structured like this repository. And if you want to support me on my mission of gathering those tips and other free projects, you can subscribe to the yearly membership of my courses, which is currently 24 courses, and you can get all of that plus everything a year ahead. In January, I'm planning a new course about advanced Laravel Livewire, so if you want to get that, also subscribe to the yearly membership. That's it for now, and see you guys in other videos.